are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 177 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Don Larck, @Tank on Twitter. Just me in the studio today. It's also another episode of College Loop After Dark, as it is right now 12:30 in the morning as I'm recording this. So with that, I'm going to go and get right into it. It's a bit of a slow day, actually. This is part of like a little bit of a little synopsis of like a dead period. Auburn women's basketball does not play until we figure out where they are going to be at in the NCAA tournament, because at this point, all but confirmed, Auburn Hoops is not playing until Friday or Saturday of the SEC tournament. I believe Friday, because they'll be playing the winner of whoever wins between Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina. So preview for those for that game on the Thursday show. And, of course, Auburn softball, no midweek this week. So up on the docket today, I'm going to be predicting the stat leaders for Auburn football in 2024 before we get to meat and potatoes of spring practice and A-Day, of course. And then after that, we'll have some nice little news tidbits to go through. And then it'll be a nice little quick little show today. But, yeah, starting off passing yards and passing touchdowns. If you know by now, I have Peyton Thorne as a starting quarterback for the Auburn Tigers in 2024. I don't really think there's going to be any real debate. I don't know if anybody can really put up a fight at this point. I think we've seen enough of Peyton Thorne to see what he is, and I think that in year two, with what could be a very improved offensive line and a much improved wide receiver core, and I'll get to a lot of that in a second. Peyton Thorne, I think he's going to have a better season he did last year, and be kind of hard for him to have a worse one. Especially won't be competing for the spot well into the season. So I have Peyton Thorne passing for about 2,500 yards. I know his career high is like 2,600. And it's not like ludicrously high. I think he's going to pass for over 25. And then I have like 20 touchdowns. He's passed for 19 before. He's passed for 27 before. He passed for 16 last year. And with a a worse wide receiver core. But I think he still hits 20. These are like rough estimates because we've not seen him play yet this year. So we haven't even seen 8A or any other kind of highlights really, because spring practice, they're not wearing pads yet. So yeah, I think Peyton Thorne 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, pretty easy. With the wide receiver core coming in, I'm not predicting interceptions or anything else on his lines. Rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Same guy for the stat again. I have Jarquez Hunter returning back. I think he finally hits that 1,000-yard mark. He no missed games this year around. So I have Jarquez Hunter rushing for about 1,200 yards and getting about 12 touchdowns. This is going to be a more pro-style team than what we saw last year. You're going to see more passing plays from the quarterback, less rushing plays, and you're going to see a lot of power running from Jarquez Hunter, and of course you have the entire slew of running backs that this team possesses, and Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston and Brian Battie and Sean Jackson. A lot of great running backs, and I think that you're going to have a workhorse with Jarquez Hunter. Of course, you're not going to try to hold back carries from the other guys as well. So I think he finally hits at 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns for Jarquez Hunter is my way too early prediction for that. Receiving yards. I think that a true freshman comes in right away and leads Auburn in receiving yards. I have Cam Coleman leading the charge there with 700 yards. I don't think he hits that 1,000-yard mark. I think he's going to be sharing the ball a lot. And I think that's just right where I think it should be. I might be shooting a little high. I think on the low end, I think about 400, 500 yards is a solid bet. But I'm going to bug a little bit. I think Cam Coleman's going to hit 700. I think he's going to be the true number one target whenever, because you're going to have Perry Thompson, you're going to have Bryce Kane, you're going to have Malcolm Simmons, you're going to have Robert Lewis, you're going to have Sam Jackson V, you're going to have Jay Fair, you're going to have all these guys that are very talented wide receivers, and you're all competing for catches. But with Cam Coleman, the size, the speed, the athleticism, the potential that he possesses alone, and of course, you never want to just put all this hype on a true freshman like this, but the kind of athlete that Cam Coleman is, it's really hard not to. So I have Cam Coleman leading Auburn in receiving yards in 2024, but receiving touchdowns, I don't have Cam Coleman leading that. Cam Coleman having, and this is going to suck to say as a Panthers fan, kind of like a Julio Jones-esque year, leading the team in receiving yards, not in touchdowns. I have Rivaldo Fairweather leading in touchdowns. I have him about 7-8 range. I don't think he's going to finish far behind Cam Coleman in receiving yards because Rivaldo Fairweather might be the actual number one target you look for. He's obviously the safety blanket for Peyton Thorne. We saw that last year because he led the team in receiving yards last year and touchdowns. He led both in that factor. And Rivaldo Fairweather, one of the most talented tight ends we've seen in the Auburn uniform in a very long time. Also, when you're in the end zone or close to it, and you're not running the ball and you're passing the ball, a guy like Rivaldo Fairweather is who you want. An athletically gifted tight end who can block, who can route run, who can make those impossible catches that you're not used to seeing. Plays because Auburn. The last time Auburn had a really good tight end, I would say CJ Uzama, way back when in the 2014 years, and of course before then it was Philip Kirkin, and then it kind of just goes from there. But yeah, Valdo, absolutely talent at tight end. So you're looking at a guy who I think is going to lead Auburn in receiving touchdowns, Cam Coleman receiving yards, and those are my offensive predictions. And then going into my last three that I have here, I have tackles, interception, and sacks. Starting off with probably the easiest one to pick is tackles. It's Eugene Asante. Come on, he's the best line. He's gonna be your star linebacker. He's obviously arguable with Keontae Scott, probably the best player on this defense. And he's a leader both on the field, vocally, off the field, wherever you want him to be a leader, he is that. He turned down money. He was going to get drafted in this draft. He is that athletically gifted as well. He is just exactly what you want out of a tight end, out of a linebacker. Sorry. He's just all that and more. So you just have to lead the team in tackles, in my opinion, for that matter. Sacks. Sticking with the defensive line here, I thought about Keldrick Falk, but with the speed and the strength that comes with an edge rusher, that especially one that you get in Jalen McLeod, you're going to get a lot of sacks. He led the team. He was tied for the team last year in sacks, and that was when he missed a lot of time. This is going to be a healthy Jalen McLeod, and you got 12 games plus of McLeod. So I think he obviously going to lead the team in sacks. I think he's going to be another one of those guys we're talking about in a year from now as a potential high draft pick. Really, because I think with last year he really proved himself whenever he got on the field, and the motor that he has is just outstanding. So I have Jalen McLeod leading the team in sacks, and then interceptions. I have another newcomer for this. And then you might think I was going to go with Quan Robinson, but I'm going to stick with the other safety that transferred in, Jaron Thompson, the safety out of Texas. I think he fits in that Jalen Simpson route and position. He's a veteran safety. He's seen the best offenses that you could possibly some of the best offenses you could possibly see, and from the Big 12, very pass heavy conference. And with the SEC and with how Wesley McGriff has his secondary placed, I think that he stands out. I think he fits that mold of what you're missing with Jalen Simpson. I don't know if he'll perform as well as Jay Simp, but I think he possesses what you want out of a ball hawking safety. And of course, I could have went with Laquan Robertson here. I could have went with Keontae Scott. I could have went with Kyan Lee. I could have thrown a dart at the secondary, and I could have just thrown it at anybody who could be leading in this category. But yeah, I think Jaron Thompson going to be leading the team in interceptions. But that'll do my stat predictions for Auburn football in 2024. Let me know who you think is going to lead Auburn in any statistical category, whether that be, make it weird, fumbles, defensive touchdowns, why not? Just anything along those lines, leave those in the comment section below. And then other news going on, NFL free agency has begun, as it has already gotten very weird. If you're an NFL fan, you got Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, you got Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh. Very A lot of money spent on offensive line for Carolina Panthers because I'm still waiting for a wide receiver as a Panthers fan. So a lot of weird moves that have been going on. One of those moves concerned one Auburn Tiger. We talked about Daniel Thomas getting signed on the live stream on Sunday. He got re-signed to it. I meant to grab the contract details, but I forgot. But this time around, we talked about Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean potentially being on the trade block. But yesterday, we did hear, in fact, that Carlton Davis was, in fact, traded to the Detroit Lions, a team that was very troublesome in the secondary, as in they give up a lot of yards. They struggled quite a bit in the secondary, and I think Carlton Davis helps that. And Jamel Dean's still up for grabs, I believe, from the Buccaneers. I don't know exactly which trade they're going to be looking for with him. I would think it'd be cool if the Lions should have tried to get Jamel Dean into it as well. But Carlton Davis, I think, is going to excel very well in the Lions. He is a competitive player, and you can't get more competitive than Dan Campbell. So I think he fits in very well in the Lions. I just hope he has I hope he's a better time there than some of the other Lions Tigers that turned to Lions did in their careers. So hopefully breaks that little dry spell. And then that does it for the free agency segment because it's all over the place. I didn't even get a notification that it happened. I had to read. It's like a little tidbit on an article I saw, and I was like, "Oh, Davis to the Lions." Is that Carlton? And then I found out that way. And then there's been a nice little rumor that's been going around on any social media that you could possibly get on that has rumors, which is all of them. A potential switch of apparel brands for the Auburn Tigers, potentially switching to Nike. Nothing confirmed yet, but it's something to talk about because Auburn fans, and I can include myself, we've all talked about this before, really want to ditch Under Armour. And whether that be for the fact that Under Armour and Auburn have not had new uniforms in a hot minute, very rarely do they have any alternates. I think the last real alternate that Auburn really had that wasn't a face mask was the honoring of Pat Sullivan with the helmet sticker, which was really cool. But every year it's a debate. Should Auburn get the orange jerseys? Auburn football is the one main sport that does not have an orange jersey on the Plains. But you've had constant athletes who have come out and have talked about how bad the Under Armour equipment is. How we've had athletes say they've had to wear braces or had to wear bandages on their feet because of the cleats that are making them bleed. So there's been a lot of traction with it. I don't know how much of it I would go along with, but definitely something to talk about because this is something that Auburn fans have wanted for a while. Auburn's like one of the 17, or maybe less now at this point, the 17 schools that are Under Armour schools. And I think Nike helps out a lot. It can do wonders revenue-wise, recruiting-wise, and it's just so many other things if Auburn were to switch to Nike. So rumors are rumors, so I wouldn't buy too much into anything that I don't want to say burner accounts have been saying, but there's been some very credible people. I think Hoke was one of the people that tweeted out, and of course, message boards are message boards, but sometimes the blind squirrel doesn't find a nut, and they do hit gold. Sometimes whenever they have rumors come out like this, so. And I did. If Auburn were to switch to Nike, it would go into place next year in June. Which again, it would just do numbers for recruiting. I think Perry Thompson was one of the. I think he tweeted out and gave a kind of a positive reinforcement to a player being hyped up about a switch from Under Armour. It's just Under Armour. It's like the basketball jerseys. They very much improved the basketball jerseys this past year. I really like the power stripe on the collar, but it's just not been enough. I mean, you've had Alabama has had retro basketball jerseys come out. Auburn doesn't really do anything else special with their Auburn men's basketball doesn't. Women's basketball has the pink uniform that they do for breast cancer awareness, which the pink uniform is awesome. I wish they'd sold it. I would definitely buy me a pink Honest God Grayson jersey if they had them for sale. But yeah, potential switch to Nike for the Auburn Tigers, which would be awesome. I think some people have been saying Jordan too, but I think it's going to be straight to Nike. Jordan's very selective on theirs, so uh, uh, news to come. If anything breaks, we'll be talking about it right now. But leave your comments below. Do you think Auburn should switch to Nike? Do you think they switch to any other brands like Adidas, Reebok? I'm trying to think of all the weird ones. I think New Balance sponsors Boston College, and you know what? Throw in Russell. Why not? Just any brand that you think Auburn should switch to, or do you think they should stick to Under Armour? And I do ask if you say that. I do want to know why. So if you think Auburn should stick to Under Armour, let me know in the comment section below. But that'll do it for the football segment. I just want to let y'all know if you are listening or watching live right now or watching it all, thank you for tuning in to the College Loop podcast. And of course, if you're looking for ways to support the show, leave a like, leave a comment as on anything that we talk about, because we love interacting with y'all whenever we possibly can. And of course, there's also a nice little subscribe button that y'all click as well. We are getting eerily close to 800 subscribers, and we are very excited to make a potential journey, not to just 800, but to 900, and then 1,000, and then everything after that. But we are thankful for every single one of you that subscribe to the show and tune in. And as well, you should, as if you don't like the video versions, there's audio versions of the show as well, which go up on Spotify, Podcast, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. So rate us on there as well, and let us know what we can do. So if you want us to talk about anything else, leave it in the comment section below. We love talking about the things that y'all want us to talk about as well. And of course, looking for other ways to support the show, we have merch. We have a nice little t-shirt that is on the warreport.com. It comes in 5 different colorways, as I'm trying to pull it up on the screen right now, but it is not where. There it goes. 5 different colorways. It comes in navy, it comes in black, it comes in gray, and a couple other variations of those colors as well. It's only $25 on the warreport.com, the Feelin' Loopy College Loop War Report Podcast Network branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirt, because it is just the most comfortable shirt in the world. It's just the best. I wore it on Sunday. It was so nice. I slept in it. It was so comfortable. It was more comfortable than the pillow I slept on. That's how comfortable it is. It is just the perfect shirt you could ever ask for. We've had raving reviews across the board from everybody who's ever worn one of their shirts, and of course, we've had Chris Causey and James Barnett, who have both been raving reviews about it. And, again, I say it, the two most trustworthy individuals in the Auburn sport, in the sports world, especially when it comes to sports merch. They know good sports merch when they see it, and they enjoy their Feelin' Loopy t-shirts. So get your own today. And, of course, if you don't want to type in thewarport.com, completely understandable. It should be favorited regardless. But you can go click the link in the description below. Take you right to the shirt link. And with that, Auburn basketball, they don't play right now or tomorrow or today as the show comes out, but they do play later on. We'll have a complete preview of whoever they are playing for the Thursday show. But we do have some nice little news tidbits that did come out, as we had some SEC honors get bestowed upon some Auburn athletes. Janai Broome, starting off with Broome, all SEC first team for Janai Broome, the walking double-double himself, also named to the all-defensive team as well. Snubbed from Depoy, but all SEC first team, all SEC defensive team. He's going to be a guy we're going to be talking about when the NBA draft comes around as potential top 10 pick. That's just how good Janai Broome is. Our team is going to be very happy they picked him, and he's just been outstanding this year. If he's not scoring offensively, he is everything on the defensive end. And I do think he was snubbed. And I just don't know what else he needed to do to pick him for it. So shout out to Janai Broome for getting first team honors, and of course on the defensive team. And then of course we had Jalen Williams, who got on the all SEC team as well, but for the second team, whenever Auburn needed a change of momentum, Jalen Williams is always there. He's had some of the best dunks that we've seen, and I think he arguably has some of the dunks of the year candidate, especially that one he hit against Georgia where he baptized someone right then and there. And I think he even hit the guy in the face with the ball as the ball came through the net. So, yeah, huge shout out to Jalen Williams for getting all SEC second team honors as well. And then lastly, Aiden Holloway, the true freshman, got onto the SEC all freshman team as well. A guy who started off the season hot whenever he got in, and we finally got the starting job. And then something happened in midseason. He lost confidence that you want to see from Aiden Holloway. But as of late, really turned a corner, really found a stride. Now a guy who can distribute the ball better, takes better shots as well. And again, if him and Denver Jones both, and just bring it all around, the team that is playing this year is a dangerous team for anybody to play. And if Aiden Holloway finds his stroke in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament, and he does it alongside Denver Jones, you're going to be looking at a dangerous offensive team. Auburn already ranked highly in terms of efficiency on the offensive side of the ball, but if you start getting the 3-point percentage up, if you're starting to get consistent 3-pointers from those two, I mean, Denver Jones just scored 21 points against Georgia, just shooting threes. That's all he did. That's all he made was threes. Shot 7 for 9 from the 3-point line. And of course, you've had Aiden Holloway days where he has been lights out from the three. And if you have that alongside having a trio, probably the best trio of big men in the country, and Chad Baker-Mazara and Jay Wilt and Janai Broome, this team doesn't have the same weaknesses we've seen out of prior teams. And I don't want to jinx. I'm going to go with knock on wood. I don't want to jinx anything. And I think I just hit my ring on the table extremely hard. You don't have a weakness like you did with a lot of these other teams that we've seen go into the tournament and get bounced in the first round. We saw in the 2022 season with Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler, Auburn didn't have the guard play to match with their front court, but now they have a front court and a back court that mesh better than we've seen. We saw last year they got bounced in their first game as well. Just nothing cooperated well last year. But then now you have this team that I think could go the distance with anybody in the SEC. Tennessee, of course, they've looked like giant killers before. Definitely a team to look out for, because that would probably, after the quarterfinals, would probably be the team that Auburn would have to look at next. But this team could be legit, and I say could be because I don't. Those bug glasses are like speaking my name right now. I'm trying not to bug too hard about it because I don't want to get heartbroken. I am wearing a Final Four hat. Don't read too much into that. But this team is legit. And with Janai Broome getting first team SEC honors and defensive teams, and Jay Wills in the second team, and Aiden Holloway's getting freshman team, despite I'm not putting myself in this conversation at all or anybody else. But a lot of people were disappointed in Holloway earlier in the year, and it wasn't much disappointment from us, more constructive criticism. It's like he wasn't taking the shots he needed to, but finally seeing the growth, finally seeing the improvement from not just him, from the whole team. So it's gonna be it's gonna be exciting to watch happen whenever Auburn plays against whoever they play on Thursday. But Auburn, and just leave your predictions below for your prediction for the Auburn basketball season. Sorry, I am trying to get the baseball schedule up because I forgot to get it up as I was preparing for the show. But as this is loading for me, make sure that you prepare yourself, because the College Loop March Madness bracket is just right around the corner. And don't forget that whoever wins, you will win 2 free tickets to Auburn's A-Day on April 6th. And of course, Tarr said that he will be able to get you and a buddy or a friend, whichever one you want to call him, will get to play golf with Tarr at RTJ in Auburn. I think that's what he said. So I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. But yeah, that'll take place on the NCAA app or website as well. And we're hoping to get about 300 of y'all in. We make it very competitive this year. We had about 80 last year, and it was a lot of fun. We got to find out who has more ball knowledge than we do, and believe me, it's not that hard. We're just two dumb kids in our 20s who like talk about sports a lot. But yeah, it was very competitive last year. I think Brendan McGoughlin was last year's winner. So make sure you stay tuned to that, and we will have plenty of updates on that. And whenever that gets made, which will be probably after the SC tournament, we'll also have a women's bracket as well. We'll have the links and descriptions below whenever that does go live. So make sure you get ready for that. Start your bracketology studies. Get ready because 2 tickets to 8A are on the line, and maybe some more prizes as well. And then to wrap up the show, Auburn Baseball takes on Troy tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. They're playing in Madison, Alabama at Toyota Field against, again, in-state opponent, Troy. Auburn has a nice little slew of in-state opponents going on this year, as they always do, mixed in with, of course, Georgia Tech, who, again, I'm just dreading those games. Auburn took a massive stride in the right direction after losing on Saturday, and then ruled Austin Peay on Sunday. And Troy, no pushover. No team in Alabama really is. Any of these teams in Alabama can go the distance with anybody else. Connor McBride, the presumptive starter, has been Auburn's midweek starter throughout the year. Has been a very solid, very efficient on the mound. In his 3 starts, he's won 2 of those matchups, and he's one of a few Auburn pitchers that are undefeated in games. But you're looking at making sure you're trying to make sure that you find consistency. Build on the run rule. I guess you don't got to run rule everybody. It's going to be hard to do in general. It's what fans want though. But find consistency behind on the plate and defensively. The right field woes were out and about last weekend, and that happened to both Austin Peay and Auburn. So it was just the weather and the wind. Find that level of play that you want to go with going forward, because after this game, you travel to Nashville to play the Vanderbilt Commodores, who, despite their football and basketball prestige, they're very good on the diamond, very good at baseball. So getting right for that, because Auburn's not the only, baseball's not the only team starting the SEC schedule this weekend. Or well, I guess softball's continuing. I stand corrected. But yeah, Auburn baseball versus Troy. I think Auburn's going to win this game. I just think it is. Auburn's. I think this is a team that we're going to be preparing for Omaha later on in the year. Little things that need to be tweaked up, and this team has the potential to go the distance. You're just trying to find, and most of these issues come from the weekend. I mean, Auburn really trying to find a Saturday guy, and Jogo will be good. He just has to get his right mindset. Once Jogo gets settled, this could be one of the best weekend series pitchers Auburn's seen in a while. And I would say in a while, but not that far ago. Auburn had some of the best pitchers in the country. But yeah, Jogo, Carson Myers, and of course, at some point you got to get Cam Tilley involved as well, and Chase Alsop. You just got to get the bullpen confident. Find confidence in those guys that you were trusting with taking on the Vanderbilts, the Arkansas, the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Texas A&Ms, the Georgias of the world. I'd say that because the SEC is just that it is so good. At back-to-back championships from the SEC with, I think, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and LSU. So Auburn could potentially add to it, but it'll happen eventually. Just get confidence on the mound. Connor McBride has just been a dog thus far, so I think Auburn's definitely going to win this game. But yeah, just build on it, get confidence, and get ready for Vanderbilt on Friday through Sunday. But yeah, with that, that'll do it for this episode of the College Loop Podcast. Of course, I am Dylan Larck, @boytank on Twitter. Also, my Instagram as well at Dylan Larck at DYLEN Visual aids right there. Also, find me on the College Loop Podcast, which is right here on YouTube. And, of course, Spotify podcast, Amazon Music. Any visual aids for that, it's just up there. Over that way. There you go. And, of course, get your Phil and Loopy shirt today. It is link in the description below. Take you right to the War Report shop, to the shirt, and you can get your own today. And, of course, if you're tired, I just said this, but if you're looking for us anywhere else, you have us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all of those at the College Loop. And with all of that being said, thank you for tuning in, War Eagle, and this has been forgot to mention, if you've not already, as you know, we are part of the War Report Podcast Network, as we say all the time, because we are very thankful of those guys for reaching out to us and having us join their awesome podcast family. We have started the War Report Gaming YouTube channel. I just had a video go up yesterday. Yeah, correct. Yesterday, as the show comes out, about my top 10 quarterbacks. Rating my top 10 quarterbacks in college football 25, the video game coming out. So go check that out. I might leave it linked below or have it somewhere at the end of the show. But of course, as my outro was going, thank you all for tuning in. This has been the College Loop Podcast. Thanks for watching. And I got to find the outro. There it is. War Eagle.